Hey Becca, we've been talking about why we want to work online, and there's that beautiful saying from a New Zealand poet who's also a doctor, people are medicine.
People are medicine, and we need connection, whatever the circumstances are. And the more stressful the circumstances are, really the more connection that we need to buffer the stress and the cortisol rates, to help boost our immune system, to keep us healthy because we know when we're under stress that there's more cortisol releasing. It's more difficult for us to hold our balance, and when we're connected, we hold our balance better, we have more emotional regulation, we just feel better and we do better.
Yeah, so not feeling alone is almost as if connection boosts our immune system.
And as it boosts our immune system, it's much easier for us to stay out of panic brain. And we want to remember that panic brain can either amp up or down regulate. And we want to have that kind of healthy core in the middle where we're aware of what's happening, but feel really solid inside. And we need that for ourselves, and also to be able to relate, to take care of our clients. As therapists, we're doing a lot of caregiving, giving a lot of attention. And so we need to do that self-care, which means that we have our connections well established as well.
Becca, as I hear you talking about this, I feel myself taking a big deep breath, and I'm wondering if we could ask you all to please put your feet on the ground and feel the earth supporting your feet. Sit back in your seats and feel that you are held. Close your eyes and take a big, deep, slow breath. And this is what you want to do before you go into working online with your clients every session. Because if you are confident and clear in yourself first, and you settle inside yourself, everything is going to go better.
You'll be able to think better, work around the technology better, and that then allows you to connect more, which is what you're trying to do when you're working with your clients. Yeah.
I so agree, Becca. And from my years of working online with couples all around the world and all sorts of different experiences, whether they have trauma or not, it's the connection that I make with them on the screen in the first session that's the most important factor in us settling into contracting for the work we're about to do together. Can they feel me in the room? And can I take the lead into vulnerability? So I'm going to do that now. I have a New Zealand accent. I apologize if it's difficult to understand. Please type anything in the chat box if I've said something that you would like me to repeat. And another step into vulnerability, I'm wearing braces. So not only do I have a New Zealand accent, I'm wearing braces. So I just want to tell you that.
Fairly new for you to have on as well, yes.
Yeah, so it's very important for you to let your clients know that if you are transitioning into working online, which many of you will already be doing or are thinking about doing, that you start to make very clear to both yourself and your clients, I will be working online now. So there's some beautiful examples in our Facebook group of letters that people have shared, of handouts they've shared that you could send your clients. But I think it's very important when you do what we're doing now, get grounded. And if you're transitioning with clients you already have into this new platform, that you talk about it.
Yeah. And that's really an important piece, Eve, as we're grounded and we settle ourselves, that we maybe even right now take a moment to consider our why. You know, we want you to consider your why for telehealth, telemedicine. Why are you doing it? And we know when it's relational, we want to stay relational, that there's me, a you, and a system. So as you breathe, we want you to just think for a moment about what's my why? Why am I going onto telemedicine? What is it for me? How does it serve me? Perhaps it's the only way that I can continue to work. Maybe it's because otherwise I can't see my clients. What's the why for your clients? So they can have access for you. Just think to yourself, what is it for me? What's my, maybe I'm taking care of other people that, so I can't leave the house, or I'm secluded in the office, whatever that is. What's the why for you, for your clients? And then some of that may be taking care of the system requirements that are happening in the world today.
And for your community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're part of a global community, and we are all looking out for one another through doing this. And that's a very different way of approaching this from feeling panicky about learning new technology, because it's okay. It's still about connection. You can practice the technology very easily by getting one of you on a cell phone and the other one of you on Zoom on your computer, and just practice chatting back and forth from the hallway to the office. Just let yourself, right?
Okay.
Hey, so let's talk about that. Oh, and the other thing, it works.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, we should probably say
We should
that.
probably say that online teletherapy actually works really well. You and I have both been doing it for a very long time, and it's pretty amazing how well it works. It's different, has pros and cons, but it's amazing.
Yes, exactly. And in fact, when you say there's pros and cons, there are some things that are better.
There are some things that are better and that our clients like better, and maybe even some things that we prefer about it. But certainly our clients, there's some things that are better, especially for our clients that I've noticed across the years.
Me too.
So I can invite them with confidence to join me for teletherapy.
And remember, people are medicine.
That's right.
You are the medicine. The fact you are zooming into their home or office or wherever they are is deeply significant for them.
Yes, to have still access to you is really important for people's mental health and for their relational health, especially when things are in their relationship and there's extra stress going on. So we need to be able to introduce it in a way that really builds confidence and invites people, which is why you want to be really clear why we're inviting them to join us on telehealth. Because that clearness that we have is going to send a nice message to them that they can be confident about joining us there.
Hey, Becca, could I take a moment to just acknowledge the amazing things that people are putting in the chat box in answer to the question that I just popped up, and we were asking and discussing ourselves, is why are you doing telehealth for me, for you, for all of us? And also to acknowledge the 99 people from around the world who've said where they're from. So welcome from Guatemala. Thank you to the person who said they love my accent. Yay! Welcome from all the people in the States. Welcome to the people from all over the world. And it's really lovely to see that some of you have already begun thinking about why am I doing this, and really settling that why for you. You can talk with your other community members, your therapeutic community. You can get online with your peer group and your supervisor. You can talk about these things before you hit the seat with the clients, so that you've got that beautiful, settled, resting into this new way of working, because you know you're not alone. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on. We are going to talk now a little bit about how do we establish a good physical connection. And Becca, I just want to do a little thing here. I just want to get something. How's this feeling?
Oh no, Eve, wait, where did you go?
This sounds really obvious, but we are going to talk about how to create the therapeutic room. And it's very important because seriously, you know, even if I leave, so this square, this little screen we have here, this is us.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's our therapeutic space. And so part of when you connect with them is to make sure that you're ready, that you're there. And if you do have to go off camera, that you make sure you let them know. It's not like you can just pick up something quick.
Yeah.
And it can be alarming to do that,
So,
especially at the beginning.
We might move around the room and use body cues in our therapy room. In our square, we need to make sure we hit the chair ready. So this is a glass of water. You could be here for 90 minutes.
Have your water handy, it's fine. Maybe have some Kleenex handy. I often get teary with my clients. And so got your Kleenex, yep, right there. And your pad of paper, because I do take a lot of notes during.
I've got my little hand cream tube because it's my wee ritual if my hands are dry to sit. It's one of my soothing things I do at the beginning of a session. I just kind of, you know, get myself there. So if you need anything special like that, get it ready, especially if you have an asthma inhaler or you have a dry throat and you need to have a throat lozenge. Have a wee stash in your drawer beside your desk because you can't get up to get it.
Yeah.
Okay. What about your chair? I've got this really, really, really comfortable chair and it cost me a lot of money, but it is the best thing I bought.
Yeah, it's really important to have a comfortable chair. I think wherever we're doing therapy, no one ever told me that having a back injury was a high risk for a therapist. I never thought that having a sedentary type of work was really put us at risk for back pain and back problems. So a chair is a big help for that. I think also not scheduling things, speaking of backs, back to back, right?
Yeah.
So you can get up and move around in between times, but having good support is really important, whether we're meeting people face to face or online. So I have like a little footstool because I have very long legs. If any of you seen me in person, I'm very, very tall. And so I often have to have my feet kind of a bit elevated on a footstool that makes me comfortable when I'm sitting for a long period of time.
So while we're talking about the body, I'm going to talk about our eyes.
Yeah.
So these are my internet glasses. They are reflection free. These are my non-reflection free internet glasses. See the difference?
Totally, can see such a big difference.
And I've got glasses too that are transitional, so I can look here and be happy, and then I can take my notes down here without having to do this. And this sounds basic, but if you're working a lot on your computer, these are blue screen protection glasses. So between sessions, if I'm just doing notes or I'm doing my office work, I use these because it rests my eyes. And the other thing about our precious eyes, they're the window to our soul. And apparently when we work online, we don't blink as much.
Yep, we can get dry eye easy.
Really easy. And apparently if you do this for some time, this is like a condition. So actually this is serious. All of this take some time. Remind yourself to stand between sessions, to do the big stretch, bend over, do a bit of yoga. Don't go sitting there for 4 hours without getting that body moving. It's not good for you. And definitely remember how precious we are.
Yeah, that's
Leave
right.
with ourselves first.
Self-care is so important. And some of this we get better at, more proficient as we go along. We do want to remember that as we're building security, that we pay attention to progress and process. And that as we're learning something new, of course, it's going to take a while to learn those things. And we can be transparent about that and know that if I can't do everything for the first session, that's all right too, that we'll get better at it as we go along.
Thank you. That is a beautiful reminder. Hey, Becca, I'm wondering, can we talk a little bit more now about good physical connection in terms of the materials of the trade,
Yeah.
what you need when you're an online therapist? And then can we talk a little bit after that about some of the connection and safety issues, like if the internet drops out?
Yeah.
Do you mind if we just stay with the physical thing while we're doing that? And so
Yeah,
what screen are you looking at? Let's talk about screens.
So screens, it's very nice when you get established and you're doing more online sessions to have a larger screen than just the little laptop screen. Also, I'd really encourage you to avoid doing it mobile and have your couples avoid being on small devices, like on your phones or your pads. If you are going to be on them, you want to make sure, or they are going to be on them, you want to make sure that they are not holding it. That you and they have a tripod to put it on. Otherwise, your arm is going to get so tired that it's not going to work very well.
Do you know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because I get car sick and I get seasick and I can't even go to like a 3D movie. And when people are holding their, if they've got their laptop on their lap while I'm working with them, I get car sick. So I have to get them to please prop your iPhone up, put it somewhere very stable, get the actual, before we start the therapy, just say, hey, let's look at how we're meeting today.
Yeah.
What are you seeing me on? And get them to tell you.
Check in with them. How are you in the room with them? Can they see and hear you clearly? And where are you? And what kind of device are you on? And if you do make a welcome letter to let people know a little bit about how to meet with you online, which is often a nice thing to do, that's one of the things that you tell them, is that you'd like to be on a screen. It's best to be on a laptop or a desktop rather than a mobile device, so that they can see and hear you clearly. And you can see and hear them, so that also they are in the view together if they are on the same device, right? Sometimes people will sign in from different locations, but if generally you'll have the couple in one room and you need to be able to see both of them in your screen.
That's so true. And sometimes, you know, Becca, how we say that assessment begins with the very first phone call. Sometimes assessment begins with how they've got the room set up. So I insist very gently, I need to see you both evenly, because you know sometimes the withdrawer is sitting towards the back of the couch and the pursuer's right up the front in the camera. And so I'm already kind of assessing, but I'm really taking time. I really want to see both of you. We're working on this precious relationship. This is different to how we sit in our room. So let's take some time to set up our therapy room.
That's right.
On the screen.
Yeah, that's very important thing to do with them. And not only your confidentiality is important, but you want to think about theirs as well. So I have seen and supervised online sessions where couples brought the laptop and put it right on their bed, and then they both just sat right there because it was the only place in the house that they had privacy.
I'm nodding.
Yeah, you will see couples in all kinds of places at their homes, which is actually really cool and helpful. It's one of the perks, I think, of doing online therapy, is to be in their environment with them. And my experience of that is that over time, because we are stabilizing them and de-escalating them in their own homes, that begins to reduce some of the triggers that are unconscious for them from being in their home environment.
I think too, given the extraordinary times we're living in, that isn't going to be a choice.
Yeah.
And that we are going to talk later in our session about safety and about those kind of constraints that may apply. But what I'm hearing you say, Becca, is that just as we across time gain stability with clients coming into our room, so do we coming into their home.
That's right.
Okay.
Want to help them establish a good, safe place.
Yeah.
Well, without a lot of interruptions if possible, and especially for confidentiality for them if they have children in the house or other family members in the house. That can be a hard thing for them, because if they don't feel some sense of privacy, maybe one of the things that triggers them is a child or a parent that's living with them, or some other people that they're taking care of. And that can be difficult for them then to feel open to share. So that confidentiality is important.
I just want to tell a little story. I do see a couple in their walk-in wardrobe. And they go in and they close the door. And sometimes the dog comes in with them, but it's always there, and it's always there, just them. And it's like this little safety cocoon. And it was funny at the beginning, but we just kept doing it.
Yeah.
So you have to adapt, folks. You have to adapt.
And
okay,
they will that well too. That's a great story, because it was important for them to find that safety.
Hey, can we just talk about our webcam and how we're using that? Because some people will have a separate webcam, and some people, if they're on a laptop, will be using the built-in webcam. Would you mind telling me that top tip you gave me this morning about hiding self-view, and do you like to work with self-view on, because it means you're always fixing your hair, or
Yeah.
do you, and how do we tell people how to turn that off so they can really just focus on the clients?
Yeah, and
how to use the webcam too?
yes, so you will notice on Zoom that there is a speaker view and a gallery view. It's on the top right corner in the video area. And you can toggle that now from speaker to gallery. And if it was just you and me, Eve, if you were the couple and I was joining as the therapist, then as I switch to speaker view from gallery view, it puts the speaker at the top, and then that's where you want your couple. You want your couple to be at the top of the screen. And I don't like to see myself on screen, so you can also, this was a tip, and as a participant, you can't test this out right now because you're not on video. But there is a ... above the video, your own video, where you can click more, and there's a little drop-down menu there that says hide self view. And then you're not on the screen, you can just see your couple. And then what happens is for eye contact, because you want to see them, you know, that eye contact is important. And one of the really cool things about webcams these days, whether it's a webcam on a laptop or whether you get an external webcam and you're putting it on the top of your laptop, maybe you have a built-in webcam on your computer, that those are pretty good these days. So when I started out, I was instructed to look at the camera on the webcam, which then I'd look at the camera and I'd be trying to smile or be with them affectively. And then I'm looking at the camera, and it was a really strange experience. What's happening now though is if the Zoom platform or whatever platform you're using is up at the top of your screen, and they are on the top because you're on speaker view, you can look right at them, and the camera will make it look like you are looking at them. You're looking at them, and they will see you looking at them. So I'll show you right now. I'll demonstrate. It's a little embarrassing, but I'll demonstrate. So Eve, I'm looking at you. You're on speaker view. I only see you. And I'm looking at you on the screen of my computer. And now I'm going to switch and look directly at my camera.
Oh, you're slightly disconnected from me then.
Camera, Eve.
Oh, loving attention.
Camera.
Right there. Loving attention, not quite there. I see.
So it's so great. You don't have to look at the camera. anymore. You can actually look at them and they see you looking at them, which is awesome.
That is so good. So that top tip, just to repeat, I've typed it into the chat box, is to toggle between gallery and speaker view. So you've got your couple at the top of the screen. Here's my webcam and here's my couple, and I'm looking straight at them.
Yeah.
Nice. Great.
And so maybe you can tell us a little bit too about what you do around hearing and mics and that sort of thing.
Sure. Well, I get a really good webcam. They really are not expensive if you are going to have an additional webcam. When I first started doing this, I guess I felt better when I had this on.
Yeah.
Now, I look like I'm about to pilot a DC-3, but why I did this was...
Join me in my cockpit.
Thank you, co-pilot. When I started, I felt more like I was able to hold the room because my couple are speaking right into my ears. And it also felt better for privacy because I'm the only one in the house today. But if I have this on my open computer, then other people could hear. So actually being able to plug this in directly to my laptop gave me a huge sense of security. So depending on where you're working, if there's traffic noise outside, if there's other people in the building, doors slamming, pets coming, going, this is really cool. And then I kind of got a bit more confident and I got down to this simple little one here. And then I thought, oh, I don't need to do that now. I can do this. So
there's another thing about wearing them is if your bandwidth is a little shaky or a little wobbly, or theirs is, and it's open to the room, then the microphone picks it up and it will come back and you'll hear feedback.
And that's awful.
And that's really awful. So if there's any bit of delay, we have a very good connection right now, and so there's no delay between us. I mean, there is, because there's always a couple of second delay just from going over the wires, but it's not obvious to us. There's no feedback. Then you can also just use these any little hardwired earbuds. I'd discourage you from using Bluetooth earbuds.
No.
Because you're taking up your bandwidth, and it's just another like wireless thing. It's a thing to interfere with. And the couple, you can encourage them also to get earbuds. There's it's called a splitter that you can get very, very cheaply on Amazon. And basically they plug it into their computer and it gives more ports for them to plug in their micro, so they can have two sets of earbuds into the same computer.
I'm typing that into the chat box. That's a top tip.
And then also they're very unobtrusive. So if you have them on like this, then it is unobtrusive, and nobody has to feel funny with having the big headgear on that you want to. It's so great to have them right in your ears, and it's so great for them to have you also. Right.
Oh, I love that, especially when you're soothing and softening and using we're going to talk about EFT manner in our next session, but I'm already thinking, wow, get the couple to use earbuds. Hey, so I have one other thing I got my couples to do too, which was if they had if they're using a laptop but their sound was poor, please don't continue the session.
Yeah.
Please spend time getting it right first. So we're going to talk now about how to set up the session safely in terms of the technology.
Yeah.
What to do if the internet connection fails or lags, since we're talking about that. I have just one more little piece of equipment. I got my couples again just on Amazon, getting it mailed into them very cheap, an external microphone for their laptop. So they would sit on the couch and they'd have the laptop on the table and the external mic facing them. And then I could hear both of them, because when we get into the softer work in EFT and the more vulnerable, engaging work, we really want to hear those whispers.
Yeah. We want to be able to hear them. It's really, really important.
Yeah. And I guess why we're taking such a long time to talk about this today, Becca, is that staying calm in the face of technical difficulty, setting the tone for a strong therapeutic engagement is way more important than have you got the right gear. You know, you can come back next week, you can. So let's just talk about things like plugging your computer into the Ethernet cable if you have got low broadband or fiber. Some of you in the countries you're in might have really unreliable internet and it might drop out. So I'm just going to ask you, what do you do? How do you set that up as a kind of room safety thing before you start your work?
Yeah, so it's really important to have a backup plan. One is that you can reschedule, but if you know that people maybe have shaky internet, a little bit wobbly, or maybe they only have Wi-Fi, they can't get on Ethernet, I'd really encourage that you get on Ethernet. That backup plan for me is to go to my phone. So one of the things you can do if you can't if you can't hear them well, you can turn off your camera. That uses less bandwidth, and you can turn off yours, they can turn off theirs, and then you can go audio only. The other way that I've done that is when audio would just drop out and maybe it just can't support the upload of audio and video, is that I would go to phone for audio and keep on camera. So you have their phone number, or
you must get their phone number. You
need to have their phone number. That's
right.
And
their email address.
Yeah. So then you can mute yourself online and talk to them on the phone. So the audio is clear, and maybe they don't see you very clearly, but they know you're still there, and maybe your picture comes in and out, or theirs comes in and out a little bit. If you have stable audio, you're going to be relying a lot on audio, which we do anyway. It's one of the things that we really rely on in EFT therapy. And maybe some of us are more visual than audio, but I think we're listening for those breaths, some of those nonverbals, and the audio's pace, tone, pitch are all so important.
Thank you. I really love the way you're kind of customizing this as we speak for what's going on at the couple's end and what's going on at your end. I just want to go over a couple of things I've heard you say, just because you're such a techno whiz. So you're saying if my audio was not working, but I could still see you now on camera, that I could mute myself and you could mute yourself and we could do the audio over our phones. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's great. Right. And I've had to use it as backup a number of times. Well, right. Maybe people were on wireless instead of hardwired in. Yeah. And I wanted to, it was good enough, but not good enough to not go to the backup. You know? So it was not so bad that I needed to disrupt the session or stop the session, but I needed some more support. And so going on the phone for the audio has been great. I've been able to do that a number of times and then keep the internet connection for when it comes in and out.
Great. Well, I have another little tip I use too. So again, it's a tiny little tripod, got it on Amazon. Well, Trade Me, it's called in New Zealand. And sometimes I've got Zoom on my camera. Did we talk about this yet? We didn't, did we? So if Zoom on my computer freezes because my broadband, well, actually my fiber, something goes wrong, I tell them to stay in the meeting room. I say, the picture has frozen, please stay in the meeting room. I'm going to go out and come onto Zoom on my phone. And my phone is on 3G, 4G, or 5G, whichever you've got in your country. And I've got Zoom on my phone. So I just start the session, I just go back into the room, they're still in it, and we just Zoom on the phone. And it's not ideal to work with a couple on something this size. Yeah. But it means we can keep the work going. It's really, really bad to have to leave in the middle of the session.
Yeah, so it's great. You can either go, audio only, or try first to go onto your Zoom backup if you need to do that.
Yeah, so with this backup plan I really like. The other thing I'm thinking, so we've got their cell phone number, we've got their email address, we've talked about this before we begin the therapy. What if it's just kind of occasional freezing? Like, do you do any kind of plan for that?
Yeah, that's when I often will go to the phone for audio. if there's occasional freezing. Yeah, how do you handle that?
I ask them to tell me because sometimes I don't know if I'm
Oh,
freezing.
yeah. Right.
So I just say to them, if you see me freezing, can you just put your... And sometimes we do,
let me know. Yeah.
yeah.
It's really good to know that if the internet freezes or it's buffering, because sometimes it just freezes because it's buffering, that you pause, just take a minute, and it usually just comes right back, you know. So it's like taking a little breath.
Yeah, that. And that's annoying, and maybe next time you'll ask them to plug in by Ethernet, and could they please buy a little microphone, but it's okay because you've got your backup plan.
That's right. So you want to really stay calm in the face of those difficulties. So let's see. Eve, maybe you can talk a little bit about what some of the concerns are that in all of our training and supervision, and that we've run into about concerns about working online.
Oh, I was just working with a group of therapists who couldn't attend a conference, and 70 of them were on Zoom, and for many of them it was their first experience of using Zoom, and they were from all around New Zealand, and one of the common fears was being seen. So just getting the idea that I'm going to be on a screen, you're going to be looking at me, and it's a little fear to overcome. Not all of us love being seen like this.
Right.
So that was really interesting. And I think we've already touched on that kind of mental preparation before going online. I'm not a fan of put the laptop on the kitchen table and get a cup of coffee type of therapy.
Yeah.
Personally, I know that it's great, and I know it's a wonderful thing to be able to, I really need to get my therapeutic frame mentally. I stay away from the trap of multitasking. So
That's so important.
It's so tempting, Becca, especially if you're tired. So I just make a clear space. I put the burner on, I light a candle. You probably have your own little ritual. My phone I've got the volume down. I've got my email notifications turned off. I do not want to be sitting here talking to all of you and reading my email that's just popped up down the corner of my screen. I don't want any of that. So distraction-free means you can hold the therapy better.
Right. And you know, we in EFT we're present processing and moment to moment.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important that we maintain our attention. That it's a mindful practice to pay attention to your intention, and that intention is to be present with the clients that are online in front of us. And so that's such an important tip to make sure we're distraction free and that we can keep our focus.
So do you see me doing it then? I just typed in pay attention to your intention into the chat box. Could you see me doing that? Could you see that I was gone, that I had actually...
Yeah, you're up a little.
Yeah,
and
up a little.
So one thing about that though is if you may look down, like I look down a lot when I'm writing notes, and in the course that we're going to be talking about at the end, Eve, that we'll do, hopefully we'll have some video that we can show of that. But I look down and write notes, but then when I come back, they know the notes were related because I'm repeating their words, I'm reflecting, I'm utilizing it, right?
Wow.
It's not like you have to be dry-eyed and staring at the screen the whole time, but that is, it's very interesting because there is a sense of feeling presence even across the internet.
Feeling presence and writing down potent words or phrases in order to reflect and be in the EFT manner is very different from writing your shopping list, checking your texts, and answering an email.
That's right.
Okay, so you're saying that they know you're tracking them, which is our first EFT skill we like to use, right? We've got to track what's happening. Okay, thank you for that. This idea about working in my slippers, how do you, I know you and I both prepared this morning to be here for the group. What did you do to prepare that was different from, I'm at home, I'll work in my slippers?
Well, so setting the you know, making sure I had good lights, good sound, plugged in, getting prepared for my day, the same as if I was going to the office or clients were coming into my office, right? The same thing.
Yeah. You're waiting for your clients to arrive. You're getting ready for work. Your appearance is beautiful as always. And you look good. You feel good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really important, especially if you're working from home.
Especially if you're working from home, that you do that preparation. Although, Eve, I actually am in my slippers right now.
No.
I am. I don't think I've been here enough to show you my slippers, but can I show you my slippers? They're still pretty cute slippers, but you know.
Okay, guys, we want to see you posting a photo on the Facebook page of your
Oh yeah, I hope nobody thinks
slippers.
of that.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're allowed some comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of the perks of working at home is a little bit of that casualness can be there, but you really want to come prepared. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay. Hey, so we're doing really well for time. I'm just wondering now if we should move into talking more about the platform that we use for, obviously we're working over Zoom, but I know everybody in the different countries that we're working in is going to be checking in with their own professional board requirements.
That's right.
You know, but there's some very general things that you know that you could share with us, please, about what's ethical and not ethical to use in client work, for example, social media. So can we talk a bit about that now?
Yeah. So don't use things like Facebook Live or Google Hangouts. We know that they don't meet the level of encryption and security. There's some question about let's see, I'm just forgot it, Eve, what is it, right?
We'll just go back. We're just speaking about the, how do we ethically use the platform.
FaceTime, somebody put it in the chat box, that's right, thank you.
Oh, well done. And people are putting doxing. So tell us what you think is sort of no-go and what are some of the possible, yes, it's okay to use this.
Yeah, so the real, like Facebook, Instagram, there's lots of video applications out there for social media. So generally, those are not secure enough. They wouldn't meet compliance for encryption, the rate of encryption, they just don't have that. So whether you need to be, you know, in the United States, we have HIPAA compliance, and then you have to have a business associate agreement. Not most countries do not have that.
We don't.
And so you still want to have a level of encryption. So Zoom is great, Doxy, many ones that can be kind of upgraded with a business plan, whether you need the business associate plan or business associate agreement or not. Those are usually at the encryption level that provides security and provides like a password to lock. So when I was being trained as a therapist, you know, like a million years ago now, there was this thing in person that to keep security, you had to have two locks. So we'd put our notes in a locked file cabinet in a locked storage room or a locked room, you know, whether that was our office or a special place for files. And we're thinking kind of about the same thing when it comes to encryption and then password protection. Those are your double locks. And you want to make sure that you're on a program that has that high level of encryption and that you are password protected. And a reason why some of the social platforms don't work is because of that. That people can access, can get in, can easily hack in to passwords, or they're not encrypted at the right level.
Thank you so much. And Becca, what I see happening is that people are posting in the chat box and some people are asking us questions. I just want to say we are not actually your governing body. So right. You really, if you have these questions, you need to check it out with your professional association. So for me, New Zealand Association of Psychotherapists, the Psychotherapy Board of Aotearoa New Zealand, And we're not going to answer those level questions in this webinar because, in this session, sorry.
Different in every country and
also
sometimes within every region of every country.
Thank you. And also people are noting that some countries are actually easing off on some of these standards and expectations during our current.
So we can provide services.
So I'm just going to just going to say something. If you're in a country that has very unreliable internet access, or your income has dropped off steadily and you're not able to access the services you used to be able to access, I'm going to say some connection is better than none.
Yeah.
For your clients.
That's right.
Yeah. And if you need to go on to WhatsApp because your broadband, your whole building's gone, then you do that if that's what's going to keep you connected with your clients, and because the ripples you send into the community are going to help stabilize their families, especially if you're supervising other health professionals. Just make sure you stay with them and get connected. However, those
general social media ones, just avoid them to begin with. Facebook Live, Instagram Lives, WhatsApp, whatever's kind of popular for quick, easy, you know, maybe even it's like Marco Polo where it's asynchronous. Like just those are not really, just avoid them to begin with.
That's right. And
they weren't made for this kind of level of security. They were made for social. They weren't made for medical kinds of things.
Correct. And Zoom, we're not getting any money from endorsing Zoom, but Zoom is, even if you don't have a BAA, even if you have the free version of Zoom, it is still encrypted at some level. It is fast and it's kind of basically reliable. Is that?
Yeah, it's very reliable. It uses less bandwidth than many of the other ones, and so that's why it's more reliable, because the way that they've set up the programming for the video and audio, what it requires for upload and download speeds is less than, say, like VC, which also provides a free platform, but it just is not quite as stable. I use VC and Doxy and and many of the other ones. Well, those are the three I can really think of right now, but they're the most popular. There's lots available, but you want to check, you know, try them. It's fine.
And talk with your colleagues too, and then get onto their information, their websites, and ask the questions, because everyone will be asking these questions.
And even in our Facebook group, this question's been answered. Asked and answered numerous times about what are people liking, what are they using, and what's working right now, while companies really maybe are having to gear up to be able to provide more bandwidth.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Hey, so we've posted this really basic, helpful, like if you don't have a Zoom account now and you're just right at the beginning, you want to get one. It's on our Facebook page, posted last night, I think, Vika. And it's how to get a Zoom account. It's a guideline. If you go to the Facebook group, it's in the file section. I think it's just called Zoom account. So that would be a beginning. The other thing that we haven't spoken about, we've spoken about setting up the room, getting ourselves into this. We've spoken about setting up our room. We've talked about the gear. What about the actual setting up the intention for the session? How long it's going to be, what we're going to do at the end, because if we're transitioning, we're in an unfamiliar environment, and I think we need to reaffirm. Introduce, kind of, okay, so we're going to be here today. If I did the speaker, we started at 8:30 my time, and we're here for an hour and a half. And we're not taking a whole lot of questions today. We're working through some pre-prepared material. We'll have 15 minutes at the end for some questions. Some of your questions we're not going to answer today because we're just starting out here. And we have a course, we have a 3-session course that you can sign up for after this if you want some more information about this. So for now, we're just going to, so I'm giving an example of what I'm going to do. I'm just going to talk the same as I would to my clients. I'm going to make everyone very clear about what our frame is, what our expectations are. I'm going to say to them, do you want to have a toilet break? Please let me know, just say, don't be sitting there trapped behind the screen. If you need to go get a glass of water, please do that. And we're here for this long. Yeah.
Let them know. It's also really nice in the transition, I think, to, if you've been seeing them at a regular time,
Oh, yeah.
that you keep as much of that stable as you can, and let them, you know, a lot of those concerns about where and so the when is taken care of, you know, as they try to find a place at home. Also, we didn't mention this earlier, but discourage them from being in a public place. You know, you don't want them to be at the corner coffee shop trying to do therapy.
Becca, I once did a session with a couple and their baby who were in the back seat of their car at a shopping mall car park. And I was like, what? We actually had a really great session, but I do think this is like hygienic, what we're talking about right now in many ways, kind of psychologically hygienic, to try to get them to meet at the same place in the same time. And good for you too, because in uncertain times, ritual, repetition, and routine are very stabilizing.
Yep, so repeat that again. In high stressful times, those 3 R's.
I can't remember, but one of them was ritual, one was repetition, reliability,
and routine. Right, very helpful.
I like the way you just repeated that for me then, because I'm speaking and organizing as I'm going, and you're reflecting to me. You started EFT with me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, maybe we can say just for a minute, we were on kind of.
We have a buzz on the line. Can you hear it? A high pitched.
Oh yeah, I do hear that. Let's see.
Would you please all make sure you.
Okay. Oh wait, let's unmute you. There we go. Okay, I think we're back. Do you still hear it?
Oh, thank you, Joanne, for typing that. Ritual, routine, repetition. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Tammy. You're all fantastic EFT therapists, I can tell.
So we were talking a little bit about, you know, encryption and that sort of stuff. Let's talk about, many people may begin to use their sessions for certification, perhaps, or for supervision, and want to record them, or just because you're an EFT therapist and we record sessions, whether for our own review, whether we're having other people review them or not, want to think a little bit about encryption, not encryption, storage, secure storage. Yeah.
Right. So you're talking now about if you were my client and we were in a therapy session, we're recording this session, where does it go and what do we do with it?
That's right.
Okay.
So generally it's better to record it onto your own equipment. And I have a separate drive that's password protected and encrypted drive that I store my videos on. Right. So you want to bring them, instead of putting them into the cloud, store them onto your own device. Right? It will also save you storage fees.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because if you're going to store them on the cloud, then you need to store them in an encrypted, safe environment. And those are, that storage is quite expensive, actually. So store it to your own device, and it's great to have a little hard drive that you can store to, because it will very quickly fill up your computer storage. You want to store it on an external drive.
I've also been talking about tape storage hygiene with some of my supervisees. It's like, if you're going to be taping a session, as you watch, and this maybe is a little bit on what we're going to cover in the course, sorry, but if there's a piece where you thought, oh, I lost control of the session there, I need to go back, that felt really bad for me, write down the time when you're in the session, go back and watch just that piece, write down what you've learned, or get the clip ready to show to your supervisor, and then wipe the tape.
Right. I do that for my own sessions.
Yeah.
When I'm working, I mostly see couples in an intensive format now. So I notice that where in the session we are, what time is it, 20 minutes in the session, 25 minutes into the session, so that I can quickly pull it up onto the video to review those places. It's really helpful. Yeah, so store securely, making sure that you're thinking about that being password protected, and then, keeping it in your office, storing it someplace that's safe as well.
Gorgeous. And I see some people also commenting, thank you, Marilyn, that sync cloud storage is encrypted, is inexpensive, and you can use it. So, I mean, again, everything we say is we're sharing experiences, right? And we're encouraging you to, and we're encouraging you to think professionally. Even if you're having a transition over to something new to you, it's sort of like if you know how to hold the tennis racket properly in the right grip before you do your first hit over the net, you're started with the right stance, you've got the racket held right, it's going to be a great game of tennis. Yeah. You're going to have to learn how to play the tennis through doing the sessions, but all of this stuff, this baseline stuff, if you're just transitioning, sit down and make your own notes from this session about the leisurely, orderly steps you need to go through. Big rocks in the bucket first. And this is big rocks in the bucket stuff because it's ethical stuff.
That's right. And practice. That's the other thing. Is
practice. If everybody, if I say to everybody now, go, at the end of this session, go on to your cell phone or and watch yourself online for 5 minutes. Chat to someone and have a look at how you look. If you haven't been online before, crack it today. Okay. Right, so I'm thinking it might be quite good timing to just talk about a little bit more about the 3 workshops that we're planning, Becca. Yep. And then maybe look at a few questions that are kind of within what we've spoken about today, not really going outside of today. So maybe you and I could kind of let people know what our 3 workshop sessions are actually about. And then they'll know what. And we've got a really great payment scheme for these workshops where it's free to $60. And you choose what you can pay, and that's for all 3 sessions. So that's a pretty great price range, isn't it?
We so much want to be able to help people get started. And EFT is very elegant and simple in theory and in methodology, but because we're doing a lot of co-regulating and learning, and it's so experiential that we know it's tricky to learn. And so doing that online has some very unique things to it, and we want to help people. After all, that's what we're about. We're supervisors and trainers, and we wanted to make sure we provided something for you in depth that would help you, and that we could bring into a secure environment, have some storage for it so you could review up to 6 months or something. I think 6 months is what we decided on, Eve, right?
Yeah, I think 6 months.
And improve your practice as you get your feet under you to continue, because you're not going to be able to absorb everything all at once. You want to be able to go back and review. So
hey, we've got a little session frame comment. I'm really sorry to interrupt, but this is important. Some people think we're here for an hour, and some people think we're here for an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. So
we didn't. So our session frame. Let's just be clear. We're here for an hour and a half today.
I might have put an hour somewhere on something. Evidently, I did, maybe in the very beginning.
Let's stay here for an hour and a half, and then people can watch the recording if they missed it.
Yes.
Okay. And the other sessions we're going to be doing are an hour and a half too, right? 90 minutes is good because it gives time to
absorb and then do some Q&A as well.
Yeah.
Oh, the email said an hour. Thank you. I'm so sorry about that. That autoresponder said an hour. That was my error. That's because I didn't have Eve proofread, and she catches my errors.
Hey, which is a really good thing to bring up. You're sending out information to your clients about your transition and your changeover. Please get someone to proofread your letter and everything you send out, because I think our bandwidth is quite taken up at the moment, isn't it, Becca? So
And Eve, that's the only thing I didn't have you proofread, or that I proofread of yours, or so look at that. There we go. We didn't set this right properly.
Hey, so do you mind if we just do a little intro to what we are going to talk about?
Yeah, let's do that. So
Yeah.
I thought you said that really important thing about 0 to 60.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of like that 0 to 60 because that's often how we talk about couples getting escalated, going from 0 to 60 so fast. And you can enroll for the course that we're doing, the workshop that we're doing. That's 3 sessions, 3 1.5-hour sessions based on what you can pay. And so the recommendation from us is 0 to 60.
Yes, dollars. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, so the first workshop, we're just calling them workshop sessions because that's what they are. We will have some time in those Q&A. We're not really having a lot of Q&A time today, as you've noticed, because we really wanted to put enough into this beginning session for you to be able to get started. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about session control and on-screen dynamics. So we're sort of shifting more into the clinical and how we would work as an EFT therapist. So we're going to be talking about establishing good emotional connection, creating presence in the room, looking at what's different in emotional engagement when the couple are in the room together and you're not with them.
How do you get that felt sense? How do you get it from them, and how do they get it from you, which is really important. Yeah.
And really importantly, session control and de-escalation. You know, what are you going to do on the screen when this couple that you've been seeing for 6 months likes to come in and fight quite a bit?
If you're like me, and sometimes you just have to get up and sit in between them on the couch to stop them from fighting, what are you going to do online? Right?
Exactly. So that's what we're covering in session 1. I think that's quite useful. And then we're just talking about reflecting emotion. So we're starting to kind of drip in some of the EFT framework. And then in session 2, that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to look at staying in the EFT frame online, which is about not talking more because you're feeling anxious. It's about managing strong emotion when it comes up. And how do we use the camera? How do we make our presence helpful? How do we use the couple in the room? Because they're there, we've got to do some things by proxy, Becca, that we'd normally do in the room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're watching for those emotional cues. And which cues are we watching for when they're on camera? It's going to be a great session that looking at that, establishing our working frame, how it's different, and how do we actually work with the emotion, whether it's highly escalated or whether we're starting affect assembly and we're starting to go deeper, doing the enactments. Like, actually, how does that end up looking?
Yeah, how do you do an enactment on the screen? And how do you deepen the emotion so that when the enactment happens, it's new, deeper, or different? I'm really passionate about this, so I love this. I can't wait to do that session with you. And then the third session, we've left a little bit of openness. We've called it questions and reflections. And we're going to talk about, by then we expect more of you will have been practicing this, and maybe some of you already are, talking about the benefits and challenges of the online connection. And people have written whole books about this. So we're really just sticking with your experience. We're not intending to teach in that third session. We're intending to help you process.
Yeah.
And
so just in review, Eve, session 1 is about session control and on-screen dynamics. And then session 2 is that we're staying in the EFT frame. How do we do that online?
Yeah.
And session 3 then is bringing that all together. It's kind of like move 5 of the tango. We're bringing it all together. How do we go forward? What maybe was left undone or unanswered questions, or now that we've been trying it, what are the blocks that we come up with? And that's the benefits and challenges of doing it online, which I'm really excited about because I've been doing it online for so long that to me, the benefits just really stand out to doing it online. And I know that it's giving up a lot to not be physically present. And for many of us who are very intuitive, to learn how to use that intuition, that intuitive sense through the internet connection is really important.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just putting up our Facebook page so that people can see where we're talking about. What's our Facebook page called, everybody?
Wait, but you mean our Facebook group or the Eventbrite?
Yeah, where people can see the resources we've talked about today in the file section.
Oh yes, so we have some people who are with us perhaps who are not part of our Facebook group.
I'll just post it. That's what the group's called, Becca. So you can stay in touch with us because we're going to be going in 15 minutes or so. So we do want you to stay connected with us because, Becca, I've had so much better talking with you, talking with the colleagues I've been speaking with, processing. And I think that final session that we do in our series is really processing time.
Yeah.
We just need to be able to process this together. And there will be some people coming in with triumphs and there'll be some people coming in with tears. And that's okay, actually, because we're learning something new at a time when we're very much needed and when we have our own concerns going on. So
we need to keep aware of that. We need to keep aware of progress, right? And
yes,
pay attention to that.
Yeah. So I wondered, Becca, how would you feel if for the finish of our little session together today, we asked people to type into the chat box, what is your takeaway from today? Because we've asked you to be self-reflective at the beginning of our session. I'm going to ask you to retake that breath that we took right back quite a while ago. Retake that breath and just what are you taking away from today? Please type it into the chat box so you can share with one another and we'll reflect back some of it. So again, feet on the floor, sit back in that chair of yours, get your feet up on that little footstool, Becca, in your cozy slippers, and let's just take a nice breath. Okay, and know we are all in this together. We will continue meeting. And we're very happy to have seen you today, no matter where you come from in the world and how good your broadband is and what plan you're on. We are so pleased that you are here. If you haven't been here for our live session, thank you so much for watching this recording and you've gotten through this far and we hope it's been helpful. Because shall we just have a look at our chat box and hear from some of our peeps?
Yes.
Maybe you've been reading it. Yes. Is there anything you'd like to reflect on as you read that and share with the group out loud so that the people who get this recording can hear this?
So the one that just caught my eye is again about the Facebook group. I think maybe you already answered that. We'll be there. You know, we're both present in that group on a daily basis, and it's very wonderful. Sometimes it's in the different times of day, but I'm always there trying to review questions and also there's it's such a great community. Really, there's many well-trained EFT therapists. We keep the EFT frame there. So that's just a socially focused therapy group. It has a little heart with birds on, 2 little birds on it, says with Rebecca Jorgensen and Eve Gould. You can find that under group search if you search for emotionally focused therapy. And
it's a beautiful contributing group. Hey, Ben Croft, thank you. 1, I don't have to look at the camera, look in the client's eyes.
That's a great takeaway, isn't it?
People are medicine. Being present and aware of present process is still possible online. Nice takeaway. Do you want to read another one, Becca?
Let's see. Well, there's a lot to learn. So having support for learning is important.
Nice.
Yeah.
Will the Evite be sent in an email?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, we can do the follow-up with this recording and another Evite. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And then I'll post the link again for people who've come in, and then you don't have to scroll through the chat box quite as far.
Thank you very much. So when you say you'll post the link again, people getting this recording won't be able to see this chat box. So what do they
Yeah.
need to know? If they want
So
to.
if they're watching the recording, then in the email that they got the link for the recording will be the link for the workshop.
Awesome. I love it. You're so organized. I think that the Italian therapists are just Julia Altera is saying, thank you so much. The Italian therapists will benefit of all of this. Heart to you, heart to you.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Heart to you in
We've
Italy.
just been so inspired by the music around the world and keeping connection. Seemed like it started, at least the awareness of it started in Italy, and then, you know, seeing those around the world has been so incredible. So we do need to, there's lots of great ways we can stay connected. Somebody said understanding their why is a big takeaway. The why for self, that's really important.
And really let that sink in.
Yeah, because we can approach our clients with so much more confidence if it's clear our why, our own boundary for, you know, are we doing mix, some online, some not? Are we going to all online, and why is that? That really brings our sense of self into it, and that's a great takeaway. I'm so glad for that one.
Hey, and thank you, Marilyn Kong. It's so nice to see you on here. Hiccups will happen, and that's okay. And you're going to tell your people that.
Yeah, that's right. You tell your clients that it's all right. If we get disconnected, we'll get back on.
Yeah, I've got your cell phone number. I'll be texting you if I'm getting on. Yeah, right. Hey, I like this one. There is so much more preparation than just hooking up the webcam and working with clients in this model. I am extremely glad that I sat in with you all. A lot of essential and useful information that I didn't even realize that I needed. Feeling far more confident now than ever.
That's wonderful. You know, that it just makes sense that when we go into practice, we set up a practice office. And we spend time setting up a practice
chair and you choose the background. And someone asked about lighting. I've got this gorgeous little lamp here, and as the sun goes down, I up my lighting in my room so you can still see me. So it's so good.
Yeah. Listen to this one. Janet, thank you. Staying present and attuned will overcome a lot of EFT misses and hold a couple in our care. Isn't that so beautiful?
I love that. And I love this from Christina Haskell. I wish she had written our advertising. I've learned how to set up ourselves, how to set up the therapy space, and how to set up the clients for success.
Yeah, that's so great.
And I love that she started with set up ourselves. Thank you, Christine. Paula wants non-reflective glasses.
Yeah, that's just what they're called, right? Reflection-free glasses.
Yeah, non-reflective glasses.
Non-reflective glasses, that's right. Let's see, there's a question here that we may be able to answer. We, as trainers, we've been getting some feedback, and just we discuss things as trainers as well, and we have gotten some feedback from some trainers who have been like us on the front lines working with people. And the question was about, do you extended sessions, or, you know, do you keep the normal format?
Question.
For me in general, I keep the normal format, right? And sometimes depending on the couple, I have done 9-hour sessions instead of the 85-minute, 80 minutes or 90-minute sessions. So you'll have to get, I think just like working in person, you're going to take into account each person's circumstances. Remembering, though, that it's to work as we start to de-escalate, work with vulnerable emotion, that emotion takes time to move. Yes. And so not to be in a rush about that. But right now, there may be maybe twice a week for 45 minutes is a better setup when people are at home and not at your office, just based on what may be happening in their home environment.
Thank you so much for saying that. I do know a dear colleague is working just for half an hour twice a week instead of 1 hour weekly because of the extremely stressful circumstances. I know of another colleague who lost none of his clients when he went online for his own health reasons.
Yeah.
He said initially clients were cancelling and doing all sorts of things. He sent a letter out. He reached out to them. He said, this is how I'm working now. All of them came back. And one man that he'd been seeing for many years in a deeply psychotherapeutic relationship, he actually is not charging at the moment. So I don't know what your practice can hold, but if people want to be seen, I think you're better to see them for a shorter time and realize that you're going to maybe have to go back into step one, which is keeping the therapeutic alliance and keeping the assessment going, because people's circumstances are changing. And you may have thought, oh, we were just about to de-escalate, and now suddenly these clients, sorry to be using this EFT language, I hope this is okay, but you know, things are starting to blow up again in this relationship we just soothed. Then it's actually okay to zigzag back and go back over what you've already established and rebuild your safety platform. So you might be changing your expectations of yourself as a therapist. Please do not beat yourself up. Please, as John Bowlby says, meet your client where they are.
That's so important, because with the extra stress in the environment, I was just thinking this morning how contagious panic is. Yeah, and so we'll see some destabilization among our clients. And that's important that we pay attention to them feeling that extra stress, because panic is really contagious, and we're trying to bring some centering, some balance, some healing to them. And there's naturally going to be some going back, right? There's going to be some more escalation. We're going to see that.
And also, as we said earlier, I'm sorry to be repetitive, but people are medicine, and the fact you're there is everything.
Yeah.
So we will.
And when people are in crisis, more frequency is not, even though the manual would say that we meet weekly for an hour and a half as EFT therapists, that we really need to pay attention to circumstance. And so if you need to meet twice weekly for, you know, half of the time, shorter amount of time, that's fine, do that. You know, I do a lot of intensives because the people that I'm working with need some hope and healing right away. So
that's right.
We have to pay attention to those circumstances. Yeah.
And that will be within the frame and the country and the circumstances in which you're currently working. Thank you so much to the people who are sending messages of support to people in Italy and some of our countries that are hardest hit. What I'd love to do now to invite our folks to do, Becca, is to please write each other messages of support, no matter where we are in the world. And yes. Becca and I were talking this morning about what's really important to us, and from our place to yours, wherever you are in the world, let's meet again.
Let's meet again. You and I are in different places of the world, but this is our place, and we want to invite you to join us to our place many more times from wherever you're at. And we just love and appreciate your hearts for working with couples and working in an experiential way, working with an attachment base. And so we're so grateful for the involvement, the participation, and the ways that you're looking to how to continue to support your clients in this difficult time. It's an extraordinary circumstance.
It is an extraordinary circumstance, and your vulnerability is welcome here. This group is your place. You can write some messages of support now for one another in the chat box. We're going to read some of them out because people who are getting the recording won't read the chat box. So do you want to choose one, Becca, and we'll just read 2 or 3 out and then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, many blessings for your practice and your clients. Everyone stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, superheroes. We've got this.
Oh, you know, I have an antidote. I was doing a group supervision this week, and one of the therapists that was in the group has had the COVID virus and recovered.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
good news. That is,
it's such good news to share. I think sharing good news is so important. As we are reading these, I'm thinking about how important it is that we continue to share our goodwill and share our good news as well.
this was so beneficial. Thank you for your time. Be well and safe, everyone.
Thank you so much. All this information was very helpful. Let's see.
You guys are making me cry. Thanks for your
So
love.
so
This is
sweet.
truly an upsetting time. Love to all my people around the world, all of you.
Yeah. Thank you for sending those messages to us and to each other. And we hope to see you again very soon. We'll see you in the Facebook group. And many of you forwarding in the coming up workshop. If you need more and this is helpful, we want to continue to help you there. Bye now.
Bye now, everybody.